In the quiet spaces of life, the pauses between our triumphs and our trials, there lies a truth we often overlook. Strength is not always forged in fire, and healing is not merely the mending of what is broken. Both are born in the silence, in the breath, in the willingness to listen to the subtle rhythm of existence itself. Every challenge we face, every wound we carry, is not an interruption to our journey, but a note in the grand symphony of being. We are not separate from life's unfolding. We are woven into its very fabric, part of a dance so intricate it defies comprehension, yet so simple it begins with a single breath. Meditation is the doorway to remembering this, that we are not fragments, but whole, not lost, but placed with precision. And perhaps the greatest strength, the deepest healing, comes when we realize we have always belonged to the music. There's something extraordinary that happens when we give ourselves permission to be quiet. I don't mean the kind of quiet where you're scrolling your phone in a room by yourself, or the kind of quiet that comes when the noise outside just happens to fade. I mean real silence, the kind that feels almost foreign in our world today, the kind that, at first, can feel uncomfortable. Like you've stepped into an empty room and suddenly realized how loud your thoughts actually are. Most of us spend our lives running from that silence. We fill it with distractions, with chatter, with plans and to-do lists. We believe that strength is built in motion, in pushing harder, in constantly proving ourselves. But what if I told you that some of the deepest strength you will ever know lives in the stillness you're avoiding? What if the silence is not empty at all, but alive? Alive with insight, alive with healing, alive with truth that only reveals itself when you're willing to listen. Think about music for a moment. It's not just sound that makes it beautiful. It's the pauses, the rests, the spaces between the notes. Without those, music would just be noise, a constant rush without meaning or rhythm. Our lives are the same way. The symphony of existence isn't only in the high notes, the victories, the breakthroughs, the moments we're celebrated. It's also in the spaces between them, the moments of reflection, the moments when everything feels still, the moments when nothing seems to be happening at all. That stillness, that silence, that's not wasted time. That is the heartbeat of strength. That is where healing begins. Meditation is simply our way of stepping into that silence on purpose. It's not about becoming someone different. It's not about escaping reality. It's about tuning into the deeper rhythm that's already there, always playing beneath the surface noise of our lives. When you sit, when you breathe, when you close your eyes and allow yourself to be fully present, you are not stepping out of life, you are stepping deeper into it. And here's the beautiful paradox. The silence you fear often carries the strength you've been searching for. In that quiet, you'll notice the things you've been running from, old wounds, buried emotions, restless thoughts. They rise up, yes, and that can be uncomfortable. But isn't it true that the things we avoid are often the very things we need to face in order to heal? Silence is not a void, it's a mirror. And when you sit with it long enough, it doesn't just show you your struggles, it shows you your resilience. It shows you that even in stillness, you are alive, you are whole, you are capable of withstanding far more than you think. So often, we measure strength by how much we can carry, how much we can push through, how loudly we can roar back at life. But strength also whispers. Strength is also the calm voice that says, I am still here. Strength is choosing not to run. Strength is trusting the pause. And healing begins the moment we stop demanding that life look a certain way and instead listen for what it's already telling us. Healing is the body and spirit remembering how to realign, and meditation is simply the invitation into that remembering. When you start to see silence this way, you realize it was never empty. It has always been full of wisdom, full of energy, full of life. It is the canvas where strength paints itself, and the space where healing writes its song. So the next time you find yourself in silence, don't rush to fill it. Breathe, lean into it. Let it carry you deeper into the rhythm you were always meant to hear. Because in the end, silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is its greatest source. We've been taught to think of strength as a battle. Push harder, fight through it. Don't let life knock you down. And sure, there are moments where grit matters, where endurance and resilience are required. But if you've ever lived through real pain, grief, loss, heartbreak, illness, you know there are times when pushing harder doesn't work. When force feels like trying to move against the ocean tide, and the harder you fight, the more exhausted you become. Here's the truth most of us don't want to admit. Real strength is not always about resistance. Real strength is about alignment. It's about learning to stand inside the current of your life instead of thrashing against it. Think about it. The wind doesn't ask the tree to resist. It teaches the tree to bend. The river doesn't ask the stone to fight. It shapes it slowly, gently, over time. Why would life ask anything different of us? Challenges are not interruptions to our journey. They're not mistakes or accidents. They are movements in the choreography of existence. If life is a dance, then struggle is simply one of the steps. Sometimes it's slow and heavy. Sometimes it's chaotic and wild. And sometimes it feels like you've forgotten the rhythm altogether. But strength doesn't come from avoiding those steps. It comes from learning how to move with them. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the pain? What about the times when life feels unbearable? I'm not saying to minimize it. Pain is real, struggle is real, but here's the shift. Pain does not mean you are weak. Pain is proof you're alive. It's evidence that you are participating fully in the human experience. And when you stop labeling struggle as a sign of failure and instead begin to see it as part of the design, you unlock a new kind of strength. I'll tell you something powerful about meditation. It teaches you this lesson in real time. Sit for long enough and discomfort will show up. Restlessness, doubt, the urge to quit. Your brain will throw everything at you. And yet, if you just breathe, if you allow those waves to rise and fall without grabbing onto them, you realize they always pass. Strength doesn't mean the waves stop coming. Strength means you've learned how to stand in the water without being pulled under. And isn't that life? The layoffs, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the setbacks. They come. They always come, but they don't define you. What defines you is how you move with them. Do you clench your fists, resist the rhythm, and exhaust yourself trying to control what you can't? Or do you soften, breathe, and trust that even this, yes, even this, is a step in the dance of your becoming? When you begin to trust the rhythm of struggle as much as you trust the rhythm of joy, you stop being afraid of life's harder moments. You stop seeing them as punishments or detours, and you begin to recognize them for what they are, invitations. Invitations to grow, to deepen, to discover the kind of strength that doesn't scream, but quietly endures. It's almost ironic, isn't it? The very moments that feel like they're breaking you are the ones shaping you into someone unbreakable. The struggles you think are pushing you off course are often the exact ones aligning you with the course you were meant to be on. That's the paradox of strength. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes strength simply whispers, "Keep going. You're still here, and this too belongs." So, the next time life feels heavy, remember this. Strength isn't about resisting the weight. It's about learning how to let the weight shape you, stretch you, and prepare you for the next step in your dance. Because real strength isn't in the fight. Real strength is in the flow. Healing is a word we throw around a lot. We talk about healing from heartbreak, from loss, from the physical and emotional bruises that life leaves behind. And most of the time, when we think of healing, we imagine fixing something broken, like gluing the pieces of ourselves back together. But what if that's not what healing actually is? What if healing isn't about fixing at all? What if healing is about remembering? Think about it. When you cut your finger, your body knows how to close the wound. You don't sit there commanding your cells to regenerate, your blood to clot, your skin to knit back together. It just happens. Healing is in your design. It's part of who you are. The same is true on an emotional and spiritual level. Healing is not something you have to force. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to what's always been there. Your wholeness, your balance, your capacity to rise. The reason this feels so hard for us is because we forget. We forget who we are under the noise. We forget that strength is not something we earn, but something we are. We forget that peace isn't something far away, but something already living inside us, waiting to be uncovered. Life has a way of piling layers on us: expectations, disappointments, fear, shame. And before we know it, we're carrying around so much weight that we can't even recognize ourselves anymore. Meditation is the gentle process of remembering. It strips away the noise, one breath at a time. It softens the layers we've built around our hearts. It clears the fog long enough for us to see that we were never as broken as we believed. Yes, we may have been hurt. Yes, we may have scars, but scars are not evidence of brokenness. They are proof of resilience, proof that we made it through. When you sit in meditation, you start to notice something. The mind at first will kick and scream. It will tell you stories of your failures, of your pain, of everything that went wrong. And yet, underneath all of that chatter, there is a steady presence, a calm that doesn't leave, a knowing that doesn't falter. That presence is who you really are. That's the wholeness you've been searching for, and it's been with you the entire time. Healing happens when we reconnect with that presence, when we remember that we are not the storm of our thoughts, but the sky that holds them. We are not the chaos of our emotions, but the vastness in which they rise and fall. And when you see yourself this way, you realize you were never broken to begin with. You may have forgotten your strength, but it never left you. So what does it mean then to heal? It means forgiving yourself for forgetting. It means choosing to release the old stories about what you can't do, or who you'll never be, or how you'll never recover. It means making space for the truth that the same intelligence that heals a cut on your finger is the same intelligence that can restore your spirit, if only you allow it. And here's the most profound part. Healing is not just personal. When you remember your wholeness, you contribute to the healing of everyone around you. You show up differently. You speak differently. You hold others with more compassion, more patience, more love. Your healing becomes part of the collective healing, a reminder to others that they too can return to themselves. So if you are in a season of pain, if you are carrying wounds you don't know how to close, take heart. Healing is not something you have to chase. Healing is something you allow. It is already within you, waiting for you to remember, because you are not broken. You are becoming. There's one thing that connects every single person in this room. One thing that doesn't care about your age, your story, your mistakes, or your victories. It's so simple we take it for granted. It's the breath. Breathing is the first thing you did when you entered this world, and it will be the last thing you do when you leave it. Everything in between, all the love, the loss, the laughter, the tears, is carried on the rhythm of your breath. And yet, how often do we notice it? How often do we pay attention to the very thing keeping us alive? Most of the time, we don't. We race through our days with shallow breaths, caught up in the noise of deadlines, responsibilities, fears, and distractions. We disconnect from the very force that grounds us in the present moment. And here's the irony: the thing we ignore is also the most reliable bridge we have between body and mind, between chaos and calm, between strength and healing. When you bring awareness to your breath, something shifts. You realize you have an anchor, always available, no matter what storm you're in. You realize that healing is not always found in some future moment or distant goal, but in the breath you are taking right now. Think about it. The breath is both unconscious and conscious. Your body breathes on its own, but at any moment you can choose to guide it, and in that choice there is power. You can slow your breath, deepen it, and with it, calm your nervous system, ease your mind, and restore your balance. It's a reminder that while you can't control life, you can choose how you move through it. Meditation brings us back to this truth. It asks us to notice the rise and fall of each inhale and exhale. At first, it feels too simple, almost insignificant. But stay with it, and you start to realize the breath is a teacher. It teaches patience, because you can't rush an inhale. It teaches release, because every exhale is a letting go. It teaches presence, because you can only breathe right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. And maybe most importantly, it teaches us connection. The breath is not just yours, it's shared. The same air you inhale is the air someone else exhales. The trees release the oxygen you need, and in return, you release the carbon dioxide they require. It's a cycle, a conversation, a partnership. When you breathe with awareness, you can feel yourself as part of this greater exchange, this intricate web of life. Suddenly, you're not just an individual struggling alone. You are part of a living, breathing whole. Have you ever noticed how your breath changes with your emotions? When you're anxious, it's short and shallow. When you're angry, it's sharp. When you're peaceful, it's slow and steady. The breath reflects your state of being. But here's the gift. It also shapes it. If you want to shift from chaos to calm, start with your breath. If you want to return to strength when you feel weak, start with your breath. If you want to invite healing into your body and mind, start with your breath. Because the breath is not just oxygen. It is life force. It is energy moving through you. And when you choose to honor it, when you choose to meet it with awareness, you are saying yes to life itself. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, you don't have to figure everything out in that moment. You don't have to carry it all at once. All you have to do is breathe in, out, again and again. The breath is more than survival. It is the bridge back home to yourself. One of the most powerful realizations that meditation brings is this: we are not separate. Not from each other, not from nature, not from the greater design of life itself. And yet, so many of us live as though we are islands, cut off, carrying the weight of the world alone. It's easy to feel that way, isn't it? We look at our struggles and think, no one understands. No one else has carried this. We look at our dreams and think, it's all up to me. That sense of isolation can be crushing, but meditation interrupts that illusion. It shows us that the very breath keeping you alive right now is part of a vast system of exchange. That every thought and action ripples outward into the world, touching people you may never even meet. Purpose is not something that drops from the sky. It's not a secret code you have to crack. Purpose is revealed when you recognize yourself as part of something larger. It's not about chasing some perfect destiny. It's about realizing that your life already matters because you are woven into the fabric of existence. Think about a tapestry. Up close, all you see are threads, different colors, different textures, some crossing over, some tangled. On their own, they don't look like much, but step back and suddenly there's a picture, there's meaning. Each thread is necessary, each one belongs. That's what our lives are like. Sometimes in the middle of it, all we see is the mess. We can't make sense of it, but there is a larger design being woven, one we may not fully see until we step back. Meditation helps us step back. It creates space between our thoughts, our fears, our constant drive to control the outcome. And in that space, we start to glimpse the bigger picture. We realize our challenges are not random, our joys are not accidents, our lives are not meaningless, everything belongs, even the hard parts. Even the things we would never have chosen. And when you begin to trust this interconnected purpose, something inside you shifts. You stop comparing your path to someone else's. You stop demanding that life look exactly the way you imagined. Instead, you start asking, what is life asking of me right now? How is this moment part of the whole? You might not get a neat, tidy answer, but you'll feel it. You'll feel the pull toward alignment, toward contribution, toward becoming more fully who you already are. That is purpose, not a destination, but a way of being, a way of participating in the great unfolding. Here's the beauty: when you live this way, your healing and your strength don't just belong to you. They ripple outward. The courage you find in silence becomes a light for someone else stumbling in the dark. The compassion you cultivate for yourself becomes a softer way of speaking to the people around you. Your willingness to see your life as meaningful gives permission for others to see theirs the same way. And that's the paradox of purpose. It's deeply personal, but never just about you. Your thread matters because it's connected to every other thread. And when you honor that, when you begin to see yourself as an integral part of the whole, even your struggles take on new meaning. They are not wasted. They are not pointless. They are part of the picture being woven through you. So if you've ever wondered, why am I here? What is all of this for? Remember this: you are not here by accident. You are not here alone. You are a necessary part of the design, and your purpose is not hiding out there somewhere. It's alive in this very moment, in the way you breathe, in the way you love, in the way you rise again and again. Because your life is not just yours. It belongs to the whole. If you've ever watched the ocean, you know there's a rhythm to it. Waves rise, waves fall. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. No one wave is the ocean, but each one belongs to it. Life is the same. We rise, we fall. We expand, we contract. Some seasons feel like high tide, full of energy, full of possibility. Others feel like the tide has gone out empty, barren, quiet. But whether we're rising or falling, whether we feel full or hollow, we still belong to the greater ocean of existence. This is what meditation reminds us of. We are not separate from life's unfolding. We are life unfolding. Each thought, each breath, each step is part of a larger rhythm, a choreography so vast we can't possibly see the whole of it, and yet we feel it. We feel it in those moments when time slows down, when something inside us whispers, "This is exactly where you're meant to be." Too often, though, we resist the dance. We judge ourselves for not moving fast enough. We criticize ourselves for missing a step. We look at someone else's rhythm and think, "Why can't I move like that?" And in doing so, we forget the most important truth. There is no wrong step. Every movement belongs. Every pause belongs. Even the stumbles, even the stillness. They are all part of the dance. Meditation helps us release the need to control the choreography and instead surrender to the music. To trust that even when we can't hear it clearly, it is still playing. To trust that even when the steps feel awkward or painful, they are part of the pattern shaping us. Strength is learning to move with the rhythm, not against it. Healing is remembering that the rhythm never abandoned us. It has carried us the whole way, and here's the breathtaking part. This dance is not yours alone. You are not spinning in isolation. Your movements affect the people around you, and theirs affect you. We are all part of the same unfolding, the same music. When you rise, you give others permission to rise. When you rest, you remind others that stillness has value. When you heal, you open a doorway for others to step into their own healing. There's something profoundly humbling about realizing this. It means your life is not small. It means your story is not insignificant. It means every single moment, even the ones that feel like they're breaking you, has a place in the cosmic rhythm. And if you allow it, if you stop resisting and start listening, you'll notice that life has been dancing with you all along. Maybe that's what strength really is, not the power to control the music, but the courage to keep moving with it. Maybe that's what healing really is, not erasing the stumbles, but recognizing their place in the choreography. And maybe that's what meditation really offers us, the chance to step fully into the dance, awake and aware, no longer spectators, but participants. So if you take nothing else with you, take this. You are not a mistake. You are not lost. You are a note in the symphony, a step in the dance, a thread in the tapestry, and your presence, your breath, your being, matters more than you know, because in the grand design of existence, you have always belonged to the dance.